Happy Halloween, housemates! I'm going to show you how to paint this little Dracula pumpkin. Hey, housemates. All right, so we're going to paint our pumpkin. And I think a good idea for something really simple would be maybe a pumpkin Dracula. What do you think? Yeah? Okay. We're going to use white and black. We have a 1-inch flat, and then we have a size 1 round. This is going to be for the details such as the eyes and the mouth, and of course our little fangs. All right, you have your pumpkin, you have your water, and everything else that you're going to need. Your paper towel to dab off the water and wipe off the paint, and of course your palette of white and black. And before we begin, we want to make sure that if you grabbed your pumpkin wherever you picked it from, that you remove any stickers and anything else that may be on the pumpkin. You don't want to paint that in, do you? No, right? All right, so we have our pumpkin with no stickers and no other things on there. Now, if your pumpkin has like any scars or like any types of marks on them, do not worry, we're going to cover them. And we're going to cover them in our white. We're going to start with our 1-inch flat. You can get some water in the bristles if you like. It's not necessary because this is going to be applied with some thicker layers. And we're just going to paint our pumpkin. We're going to completely cover our pumpkin. Now, if you like to paint the bottoms, you can. Now, just keep in mind that if you do, when you set it down on the table, it may leave some of the paint on the table. So you don't necessarily have to paint the bottom. Considering that the bottom may not show as well, it's not necessary. So we're going to fill our pumpkin in completely with our white. And the bigger the brush, the better, because the wider the brush, the more area that we cover with our paint. A good way to paint is just by using up and down brush strokes. If we just follow the form of the pumpkin, you'll find that the paint will just cover that pumpkin with ease. We're going to have to let this dry and then cover it again because we want that white to completely cover our pumpkin. And if you find that it's a little difficult to paint, try to hold it at its stem. If you have a stem, that's better. So I have another pumpkin I would like to show you that has a shorter stem. So this may be a little difficult to paint if you don't have a good grip on it. But if you don't, after you remove the sticker, you could always just kind of set it down on the table and you can just paint it on the table flat. Okay, so we are back and we're just adding on our last few layers. So I ended up adding 3 layers because I just didn't want any of the pumpkin to show beneath. All right, so now that our pumpkin is completely covered, let's start our hairline. I highly recommend for you to grab a pencil if you like. A pencil will give you, a space to draw, and you can also erase as this surface is a little rough. So an eraser will be fine taking off the pencil mark or the graphite. But if you don't have a pencil, please feel free to just use your 1 round and you can just dip it in some black and then just find a spot where you like for your hairline to begin and also end. But we're going to use the widow's peak, which is the pointiest part of our Dracula. We're going to use, this is going to be where the hairline is going to kind of meet to a point. So we have our line here. And we're going to do the same thing on the other side, trying to get as much of a balance as we can to kind of look the exact same. And then if we want to do the same thing on like the remaining ends, we can do that. But because we're only going to be focusing on the front, They don't have to be super perfect for the back of the head. So even if you want to make a straight line around the back, you can do that as well. But this is going to be the head, the widow's peak or the hairline for our Dracula. So once we figured out our widow's peak and the remaining hairline, we can fill this in with the rest of the black. Now I could use my 1-inch flat, you know, our magic brush, of course. We could use that. Or we could use something a little smaller. Maybe if, you know, we just want to not have such a large brush in our hand, we can always just use a smaller flat. Okay, so now that we have our hairline, let's make our eyes. Now, you know, if you are a little nervous about making your eyes, there's another way you can do this. If you have a bottle cap, let me show you what I mean. If you have a bottle cap, you could place the bottle cap here and you could trace the bottle cap, or you can take some paint, like in our case. I'm going to mix a little gray, and you can paint that gray right on the inner piece of the lid, like on the edges, and then you can kind of like stamp it on to your pumpkin. But you want to make sure you cover it with a nice amount of paint so that it transfers. See? So that's one. And then let me put my brush down. Let me reload. And then get another. So we have two. With that, we're going to fill it in with black. We're going to make sure we cover those little gray lines as much as we can. Like so. And we're going to make a little smile. So I'm doing this so that I make sure that my brush tip is pointy. It went back to its size or its shape. I'm going to just take the brush. I'm going to make a smiley face. We're going to let this dry a little bit, and we're going to come back. We're going to add some light in his eyes, and then we're going to add the fangs.
Let's pretend the eyeball is a clock. We're going to put a dot of white on 2 o'clock on that eyeball. And we're going to just make the little light spot a little bigger once we press it in there, once we find a spot. We're just going to make a little bigger circle and then fill it in on both sides. Now we're going to make some fangs. Really simple. Grab some black, and right under the smile, we're going to make some upside down triangles on both sides. And then make sure that we just take our time so that we don't, smear the paint or anything. So if you wanted to use a pencil, please feel free to use a pencil and then trace over the pencil lines with your black paint. And have great fangs. Our final step is just adding a nose. We gotta give little Dracula a tiny little button nose, right? So just grab a little bit of black. We wanna just make sure that the tip of the brush remains pointy. And then we're gonna make a little lowercase n right up top to get little button nose set up. See there? Little lowercase n. You got it. So what do you think? It wasn't hard, right? It was simple. We're just using 2 colors, black and white, and a pumpkin.
Okay, housemates, I've been thinking about something while we were painting this pumpkin. I think we can make some magic with this and give him a little bit of life. What do you think? With one touch of our magic brush, I think we can give Pumpkin Dracula a little bit more life. What do you think? Let's give it a shot. Magic brushes. 1, 2, and... Hi! Happy Halloween to you, and a special Happy Halloween to our housemates.
Wow, this is really cool. Is this what the real world is like? Thank you.
You're welcome. Well, I'm sure there's so many like you out around Halloween right now. Go meet your friends.
Okay, more pumpkin friends to meet. Bye-bye.
See ya. That was cool, wasn't it? Well, I look forward to our next painting together. Remember to paint, create. Why? Because you never know who needs your magic. I'll catch you next time. See ya.